Hey, Yakov, listen, Yakov worked 14 years to marry Rachel. That's what a balcony can do, you know, and the whole 14 years was, but obviously they saw was nothing. He didn't even feel it, right? There's nothing, right? Because that's what it does. You're dancing, you know. That's the avodah. Now the truth is, so somebody asked, what do you ask? You asked like by low mechitza. Don't put a balcony, just lower the mechitza. So that's what I said. The first yesod was that the men can't see the women. Why? The whole yesod is the women see you. So why do you care? No, because if you can see them, so it's not a gimmick answer. It's very deep and it's very real. But I might have to sell it. The world might have gotten too destroyed. You're not going to chop this. No, you probably won't. This oil will. Is that if the bechitz is low, to any girl who would go to that shul, the guys don't respect her enough to be inspired by her. I'll say it very deep. When I took for the college kids, again, this is 20 years ago. So how did I say this? I'm feeling like a deja vu. This is the mashal I use. That when does a guy lose his self-respect? When does he stop respecting himself? So we'll discuss this in other shiurim, but I'm not going to prove the yesod. The yesod is that shame is the feeling you feel when you cop out, when you take a shortcut. So men lose their self-respect when they start looking at. It starts with Shmiras Einayim. Shmiras Einayim is the gateway chet. All chet is shame. It's the same shmuz. All chet is shame. Shame is the feeling you feel when you compromise, when you lower your standards. Lowering your standards, what's the first thing that you lower your standards? Is you wanted to slay a dragon and get a bas melech. You wanted to be a hero and deserve a princess. And now you click on something, you see everything you wanted to see. So that the feeling of that is shame. That is I call it the gateway avera. It's the first shame you feel. The first compromise in a person's life is Shmiras Einayim. Because even as a kid, you wanted the bas melech in the balcony, which you know you have to daven good and you have to learn, you have to be a good guy, and then you get a bas melech. And now you click on things, and now you feel like a cop-out and a fraud, and you feel shame. So when a guy starts watching schmutz, that's where he loses his self-respect, and that's where he doesn't believe he's a hero, and therefore he gives up, and he does everything in the world flows from that. It's the first chink in his armor. So the Olam asked in colleges, a very good kasha, what's the girl's first avera? When does a girl lose self-respect? So that's a deep question. So you know what the answer is? That's what I said. I said it. I don't know if it's the best answer or truest answer, but it gets a gasp. And I would say it in college, it was like everybody, I didn't expect that. That was, remember, the girl's the princess. So how does the princess lose her self-respect? When she finds out that the guy she's dating looks at schmutz and she doesn't dump him. When she's willing to date the guy who looks at these things. That's her compromise, because she wanted a gibar. So what is her compromise? Is that's where she feels shame. He can't look himself in the mirror when he watches schmutz. She can't look herself in the mirror when she's dating the guy who's watching schmutz and she didn't throw him out. It's a very important insight, and that's what I'm saying over here, but about the balcony. That when if a guy goes to the shul, he might go to the shul with a low mechitz because he wants to see girls, but not because he wants the davening to deserve those girls. Because those girls, any girl who's davening in a place where boys could see her, that's also part of this. What means dignity? Dignity means exactly that. Her malchus is that I don't need you to see me. That's how I define malchus. What is the princess? A princess is the person who knows their own value. It's total dignity and confidence. That's royalty. What is the meed of royalty? Is I don't need your attention. I already voted. I don't need your vote. I voted. I know my value. And the queen can walk into a factory to motivate factory workers, but when she walks in and they all clap, she doesn't go, God, they're clapping for me. She's the queen. She's doing it for them that they feel good. She doesn't need their claps. It's true confidence. That's why people who owe money, people who have money for diaries, they don't need, to paint their house burgundy and gold. because they're not trying to prove anything. That's cheap. That's new geld. You know, the guy who needs to show it all off. The sign of malchus is that I know my value. It's not that I'm still, because that can be also manipulative. It's that I don't need it. And when someone comments me, I go, thank you so much. Like a gracious thing where I'm happy that you're inspired by me. Good for you. You know, but you don't say it patronizingly, condescending, but that's this is all connected. But that's the aside. That's the balcony shamus. All right, could go weiter.
You said last time that by the Halloween thing, once it's really when the girl wants him to.
When I said this
you said when the girl she loses her princess thing when she does stuff to get the guy to look at her.
When did I say that? Yeah, it's true. Right.
So I was just saying that's what I thought.
That's the same aside. It's the same aside. But when did we talked about Halloween last time?
No, 2 times ago.
Two
no,
times.
6 times ago.
Whatever.
Okay.
I mean, at least.
It was like
all these said had some interconnected. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's all connected. Ways. Let's talk about Yakov. We already one parsha behind Yakov. We have a lot of catching up doing Yakov, and this week Rachel and Leah. It's very important to talk about Rachel and Leah. So first, a lot of this is not as real as this, but you have to. Yaakov is such a big aside in Yitzchak. We really have to do the philosophical talk first. What's this Yaakveni Zeh Pamoyim Oiches Pa'akev? His name. The secret to defining anyone in the Torah is their name. The names are very precise. Shmo Garam, Gemara says, it's definitive. He was born holding on to Esau's heel, and Esau says, "You healed me twice." Like, what does that even mean, right? So this is what we have to explain. So, here's the short. This deserves to be done properly, but we didn't do it last week, and last week was the week to do it. So I'm doing it very fast, but it's kedai to spend time on your own, go through the psukim and see the whole thing. The story of Yaakov is like this: is Yaakov and Esau. You probably heard this 100 times on a simpler level, but this is a little more worked out. But it's the same aside. Yaakov and Esau are shnei geim bevitnech. They were supposed to be shutfim in godless. They were supposed to be teammates. The Yoshev Oyhel and the Ish Sada. Yaakov is Ish Tam Yoshev Aholim, a simple, pure man who dwelled in tents, and Esau is a Ish Tzayid, Ish Sada, a man of the field, a hunter. Very opposite people. The difference between the field and the tent, and the Ish Tam and the Ish Tzayid, or whatever, he's hairy, he's cholok and smooth, he's hairy. All those opposite differences. What is the aside? What is the shutfis? The shutfis was supposed to be, like in any shutfis, you need to have the mushal I always used to use. I don't know if it's still true. People still go to Best Buy? Like, it's still a thing?
Halloween. Black Friday.
Black Friday. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is perfect day to little orientation to Best Buy. There's 2 different types of workers in Best Buy, right? There's the blue shirt guys and the black shirt guys. The salesmen all have the blue shirts, and the geek squad has the black shirts. The same tan pants, right? It's all the same still, right? My technology days are a long time ago. But what's the difference? The salesmen, they know how to sell. But they have very limited ideas. They're sweet, cute kids, and you go there and they make you want to buy, and then they're friendly and they're warm. They come over to you. Can I help you? What are you looking for? And they're trained. But if you ask more than superficial questions, they have no idea. So when you start to ask heavy-duty questions, they say, you better go talk to the geek squad. Take you over to the geek squad. They say, model, whatever, kitom. And now the geek squad guy, he knows everything. But he's such a nerd. He's so not a sales guy. Like, you're not even interested. Like, when you call tech support to ask them questions, so they know everything, but you don't want to buy it anymore. We have a lot of problems with that model. Like tech support, So that's the life. There's the inside guy, manufacturing, the guy who does the books, and the sales guy, and that was supposed to be Yaakov and Esav, and that's really that little havana. You'll understand most of the things in this story, and that's why Yaakov wants to give the brachas to Esav. Like, what does Yaakov need? Yaakov is Torah, and Esav is Kiruv. He's the Kiruv guy. You're the Talmud Chacham, And if a guy asks you a question, you call up Yaakov. You ask Yaakov, what do I tell the guy? He asked me a hard question, and the Kiruv that comes back and says, "Yeah, ask my rabbi." This is what he said. Oh, great answer. He knows how to say it over. He says, "The Mogishmak," and the rabbi told him. That's the relationship of Yaakov and Esav. That's an amazing team effort. And so Esav needs a nice car. He needs the Rolex. He needs, the glitz and the glamour. He has to be a certain kind of guy. What does Yaakov need? He needs some candles and a svarma shrunk. That's all he needs, right? A bench, because he's just Torah. The Ish Sada, the Yedei Tzayid Bepeh, he's a hunter with his mouth. He knows how to, he's a talker, he's smooth, he's slick. This is how we're going to change the world, is Yaakov and Esau. The problem is that Esau becomes a Rasha. Right? So now Esau becomes a Rasha, so how do we just, so what's the problem? The problem is that we don't have a salesman now. You have, the Torah is the same, Yaakov's the same tzaddik, same Talmud Chacham, it's just, there's no way he's making anybody from. Right? That's the problem. So what do we do? This is the problem that we're faced with in last week's Parsha. So let me just say one thing. The best way to think of Yaakov and Esau, to zoom it out, that it's not just Yaakov and Esau, is it's the relationship of the neshama and the guf. The neshama and the guf is the same exact thing as the relationship of Yaakov and Esau. The neshama is a very heilige, pure, tahardika thing, right? Could even be, now that we're flowing and having this after the mechitza talk, but it could be men and women, it's the same thing. Could be the woman is the neshama, she's the Yakov, she's the fine, tmimos, perfection. But, like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to have to redo the whole thing now, but it's worth thinking about. But let's stick with the neshama and the guf. The problem is that the neshama is too refined for a coarse world. So you need to have a guf. The purpose of the guf is what Esau was to Yaakov, is some grubber thing that can take the neshama's stuff and live in a physical world. In the olam of Gashmi, you need a guf that can do this stuff. The neshama is not capable. So the best mashal, the Nefesh HaChaim says it, but in Kabbalah it's a common mashal, is that the relationship of a guf and a neshama is a shoe and a foot. A foot, the sole of your foot is soft and tender, and the world is sharp and there's rocks, so you need a shoe to allow your foot, and then you put on a shoe, now the whole guf can walk in the world. And that's, so the guf is called the na'al of the neshama. That's what it's called. You hear the mashal? It's a very good mashal. The guf is a na'al of the neshama, and it's very cool. Then, I don't know, it's a gimmick in words, but they're both called soul. Okay, it's spelled differently. But the sole of the foot and the soul, both the soul needs a guf and the soul needs a shoe, right? And that's how now we walk in the world. That's it. So now in this mashal, what happens when Esau goes off and does his own thing? He's not interested in selling Torah. He's still a salesman. He's going to just pick up wives, Kanani wives, right, or whatever it is, or married women, whatever he was over, right, whatever he did. So now Klal Yisrael is missing the shoe, right? So what's the tikkun to that? What has to happen? So Yaakov has to learn, pick up the pieces, and has to leave the koilel and learn how to become a salesman. Yaakov has to figure out on how to, even though he has 4 kids in diapers already, and there's no way, he has to figure out if he can go to PCS, whatever it is, he's going to figure out on how he can make it work in the real world. Originally, there's supposed to be a foot and a shoe, and now Yaakov has to learn how, and that's why everything now in Yaakov's life becomes double, right? He has to become Yaakov and Esau. He has to have the Kol Yaakov and the Yedei Esau. He has to be the man in the tent and the man in the field. He has to get, in the end, when he finally does it, you see, that's what happens. Rivka has to get him to go get the brachas, and that's why he gets the bracha and the bechira. He's trying to take over, he's trying to get the rights to Esau's role. And then he steals the brachas. And Yaakov and Yitzchak even says, "Ooh, the kol is Yaakov and the daim is Esau. Maybe you are both." And that's why he's happy with the brachas, because he could do both. You are the guf, Torah, holiness, and worldliness. But the truth was he wasn't. Why wasn't he? Who was? Who was the one who was really worldly? It was Rivka. Rivka was the one who knew how to handle in the world, flew the whole shtick and dress him up. Rivka. And we said last week that was because Rivka fell off the camel. And when Rivka fell off the camel, that's where she, instead of controlling the camel, being that's the third mashal for the same thing, by the way. The mashal they use for the guf and the neshama, a foot and a shoe, is a horse and a rider. Maybe that's the best mashal. The horse and the rider is the same thing. The neshama is the rider, and the horse is, now you can do things you can never do as a human. You can go jump and carry things and run, and you can do all these things. So it's even a better mashal than a shoe, because a shoe just allows your foot to walk in the world. The horse magnifies your kaichas. It has that other level. But it's good to have both mashalim. One has the more the connotation of the shmira, that it protects your softness, and one the leverage of having the tools of the physical world. But that's the part. When Rivka falls off the camel, it means she loses her ability to control. It means Yitzchak was the camel. Remember, Yitzchak was the camel. So Yitzchak overwhelmed her. She became a little bit of Yitzchak's midah of din, and that's how she was able to trick him over here. But let's not go into that. What happens now? So now Yakov has to become Esav. So in the real world, what does that mean? He has to become a guy who can handle in the real world. The Tamimistic Yeshiva man is not going to cut it. It's very nice, you're a tzaddik, but the purpose of Klal Yisrael is to change the world. Who's going to bring this into the sada, into the field? Now, Esav was the master of the field. He's not selling your product. So Yaakov has to become the geek squad guy who can learn how to do sales. Right? Now, he'll never be as good as Esav. But what's the perfect mashal for that? If the mashal of Yaakov is the foot and Esav is the shoe, so what is the mashal for the new state of affairs?
Foot, slippers, Uggs.
Uggs.
Cracks maybe, not Uggs.
What's the
Your
what?
foot becomes callous.
Your foot becomes callous. The akev. The akev is, what's the akev? The akev is the heel, is the callus, the hard part where your foot becomes hard, and now your foot can walk in the world. That's why his name is Yaakov. The whole new definition. We don't have a partnership anymore. It's not Yaakov and Esav. It's Yaakov is the akev. The akev is where the foot itself learned how to adapt. Where the koil guy learns how to handle in the world. Now it's not as hard as a shoe, but it can work. It has the ability to work in that world. It's amazing, and that's what it means to Yaakov. That's why his name is Yaakov. He's oiches ba'akev Esav. He takes over Esav's midah. Is in this thing of akev. Now there's a big mile. There's a chesaron is that it's better to have a guy who is 100% manufacturing and 100% sales. You have two whole skill sets, but to have one person who could do both is really a game changer.
Why did we need a Bechir to do that?
What?
Who is the Bechir?
That's what the Bechira is. The Bechira is the leader of the Bechira. Why are all the I know what the I don't know the gematria is. I'm not saying that's gematria. What is the gematria of Bechar? Beis Chaf Reish. It's all the second letters. 222. Is it that crazy that Bechar is the second? Right? Why is Bechar 222? It's like a weird thing. It's too klar that needs some kind of hezbollah. Even if the gematria is not your thing, right? What does that mean? So Bechar is not the first set. The one is, parents are one. And the parents have children. And that's the period of the parents. Where the parents spread out over a family. The Bechar is the leader of the kids. And that's why it's all twos. He's the balabas of the period. He's not the parent. The Bechar is the leader of the children, the leader of the period. So he's the balabas of the twos. He's the Bechar. That's what the Bechar is. Don't think it's a parent. By the way, that's another cool thing about Becharim is that you won't find any case in the whole Torah where the Bechar becomes the guy. It's a crazy pattern. It's always the younger son. There's never a Bechar, Cain, Hevel, Avram and Nachar and Haran, Avram's, and then Yishmael and Yitzchak. Yitzchak's older. Yaakov and Esav's older. Yosef, Ruvain, David,
Aaron, Moshe.
what?
Moshe and Aaron.
Moshe and Aaron. There's no every Ephraim, Menashe, every single Bechar, it doesn't make it. Why? There's one case where the Torah says why, which is the one case where the Torah says why, and we could probably extrapolate that that's the occupational hazard of being a Bechar. What's the case? Okay, very good.
And yeah, Shane made it. He was the top son.
What? What Shem wasn't know this.
What do you take?
Well, no, but it doesn't say. I guess over there you could say we know why he lost it. Chum and Yefes. Well, Yefes he didn't lose. He did everything right. So why isn't he the leader of the world? Why is it Yafni? Why is it Yishkan Bali Shem? Why is Shem the king? Yeah, I guess Chum, we know why Chum wasn't the king, but what is the one? But you said Parshas Mayim. Ruvain. Ruvain is the one guy who Ka'olu Amishkavei Aviv. Because he moved in this week's parasha, right? He moved his father's tent. He moved his father's tent he moved Yaakov's tent into Leah's tent. His father's bed. He moved his father's bed into. So, and because of that, he loses his bechayr. How would you explain that? What is the flaw of moving your father's tent? Make it real. What problem would a bechar have? So I think this is the problem of bechar. The problem of bechar is that when he came into the world, it was just the parents, and then all the other kids come. So a bechar sees the world from two angles. Mitzad echad, he's like one of the parents. Mitzad sheni, he's the oldest of the kids. The job of the bechar is to be the leader of the kids. But Reuven stuck his business in with his father, with his parents. He saw himself as like the tail of the parent, like of the ones, part of the ones, the last of the ones. No, you're the leader of the twos. The problem with the bechar is that he can be aloof and not want to handle with the kids. It's mommy and tati and me, and that's the problem with bechar. The problem with bechar is all becharim fail because they don't accept their role as to be the leader of the kids, and they need to be aloof and busy with the parents. That's the bechar problem. I think that's at least the Torah's take on bechar. Yeah. So this is the aside. So in Mela, how did we get here? So we're saying the twos. How did we get to this? Why did we do all this? If anyone want to unravel it? So you asked why he bought the bechira. So that's the role. What is the role of the bechar? That's why I had to buy the bechar. The leader of it's a leader of the universe. He's the one who's ma'achid the whole world. That's the job of making the whole world one is bechar. Is the bechar. And that's the job of the Sada. So Yakov is the Akav because takes. But now Lamaisa it wasn't really Yakov. It was Rivka. Rivka's the one who could have been the Shul, not Yakov. So that's why. What does Rivka say? That's what this week's parsha is about. Rivka says, "You better go to Lavan." You know what Lavan is? What's Lavan? Lavan is the college of the Sada. Lavan is the biggest swindler in the world. Yaakov has to go to college by Lavan. And he can't leave till when? Till he graduates. Right? When does he leave? Lavan swindles him asareis moinim, tens of times. But when Yaakov gets everything back from Lavan with interest, then he's ready to go. And now he's ready to go to Esau. And next week he's going to meet the Sar Shel Esau. Because now he's ready. Now, what he got in last week's parasha, through really not him, he bought it on credit. But now we could say in love and garti. And Achicha ani baramoyas, he says, I'm your brother in Ramoyas. I can do the Sada just as well as you. That's what happens. And that's why everything now, and that's why Esau's angel concedes to Yaakov his name. And Yaakov becomes two names, Yaakov and Yisrael. Both roles, the foot and the shoe. And that's why he has to marry two wives, Rachel and Leah. Leah was supposed to marry Esau. He marries Yaakov's wife and Leah's wife, like Esau's wife and his wife. He has both names, both things. He's called Yaakov and Esau, and this is the new model of the Jew. The new model of Klal Yisrael is this model of an Akav, which is still a Ben Torah. You primarily Ben Torah, but you can walk just fine in the world with your calluses, your Akav, and yeah.
Kisarisa imanoshim.
Imelikim va'anoshim
What
va'tukah.
about Elokim? Imanoshim.
Yeah, that's it. That's the two sides. Elikim va'anoshim va'tukah. You proved yourself that you can do both, and that's when he concedes to him this name. So Yaakov becomes both, and the college of both is the college of Lavan, and now Yaakov's the whole package.
And how does this explain him grabbing the ankle? Yeah.
It doesn't say ankle. You're assuming the ankle. The Akav. He grabs the Akav. The heel. And when Esau says, Yakveini zeh pamoyim, you healed me twice, what does that mean? This is another side of the heel. I don't want to, okay, but I'll say it quickly, but it's not so hard to understand. It used to be a lashon in English. Even this is my raya that the whole idea of a heel is callous. Right? We say it in English. You ever heard the thing when somebody is cold? Don't be a heel. You ever heard that expression? You can Google it. It used to be expression. Right? Don't be a heel. What's a heel? When your parents aren't letting you borrow the car, Matzah Shabbos, that kind of thing, whatever it is. That's what you used to say in the 50s. The parents are square, and they're being a heel. Right? Why is it called being a heel? Because you're being cold and unfeeling. And Esav says you were cold and unfeeling 2 times. You took advantage of me both times. Where's your Rachmanis? And that's exactly clear. That's the falling off the horse of Rivka. Rivka is the Balas Chesed who gets tough from Yitzchak. And that's why Yitzchak loved Esav. I'll stick in one thing. So many, and because we did it this way, we don't have time for all the diukim in the parsha, but every little thing is a diuk. Yitzchak tells Esav, go out into the field, tzuda li tzoida va'asei li matamin. Go catch me some game and make me some delicacies. Rivka tells Yakov what? I heard your brother, Yakov calling your brother, Yitzchak calling your brother, time to go out in the field and catch me some game and make me matam. Quick, go to the pen, bring me shnei gediyeizim, ve'asei oisom matamin. What's the diak over there? Yitzchak said, what did she change? Yitzchak says, tzuda li tzoida v'asei matam. Catch me some game and make me some delicacies. And she says, bring me some meat and I'm going to make them into delicacies. By Yitzchak, it sounded like 2 different things. Like some good meat and potatoes and some little foodie stuff, some matam. And she says, no, catch me some meat and I'm going to make the meat into matam. I'm going to show Yaakov that the meat and potatoes could be the slick. I can make matam out of the tzayid. That Yaakov could become both. And Yaakov comes to Yitzchak with this new thing, meat matam. And that's what they call Yaakov Esav. It's all a caricature of this musig. But this is all philosophy. But in reality, this is a new model of a Jew. And that's what happens next week. I'll give away already next week. What happens next week? The Sar Shel Esav has to be moida. It's all a symbol. The Sar Shel Esav is a symbol of this struggle going on. This is a historical struggle. Who is going to be the Bechor of the world? Who is going to be the one to make the world echad? Yakov wants the right to that. And he says, and Esav's point was, you can't do it. It's a waste to give it. Like this is the machlokes between Yitzchak and Rivka. It's a very deep machlokes. If you have a salesman who's a Rasha and a Talmud Chacham who's a total nerd, who are you going to give the brachas to? What's the odds that the nerd is going to become the smooth, slick guy? Or what's the other odds that it's a stage. He's going to grow up. He'll meet a girl. He'll grow up. He'll get inspired. He just needs a good rebbe. He'll go to Eretz Yisrael. Turn over a new leaf. Whatever it is, He'll hit bottom. There's 100 svaris why Esav could become. Esav has the skills, Yitzchak doesn't have the skill. Yaakov doesn't have the skills. He's an ish tam yoshev v'holim, right? So that's really the machlokes. But Rivka wins. Rivka, whatever it is, because Rivka knows because she was the sweetest girl in the world, and all of a sudden now she has the skills to cheat her own husband. So what does that mean? What does Rivka know? That Yitzchak doesn't know. She never used it yet. What Rivka knows is that the most tamimistic person in the world, and that's you want to know why she has to trick him? That's very deep. Why does she have to trick? Why can't she tell her husband? They didn't have a relationship? The tricking was the proof. Your whole position is that it's easier for Eiston and Tshuva than this tamimistic guy to learn to become shrewd. What do you mean? I just tricked you. Who is more tamimistic than me? I just fed 30 camels while these big strong men watched me work like the biggest sucker in the world. Like I did the whole thing, and look at me now. I'm cheating. I'm tricking my own husband. This is why it had to be b'mirma. That's why Yitzchak knows the mirma. B'mirma. He's so nispal. Gam baruch tia. He loves the mirma.
He's Echarad.
What?
Why is he the Echarad?
Probably on the past. Probably on how close he got to messing up history.
He was so shocked. He didn't believe.
Yeah, but that shock is not charada. Charada is I was on the precipice of destroying history. My wife saved me, all because she fell off the camel. because he davened mincha in the field. This is make it into a mincha shmuz.
Wait, so Charad is on the past, not the fact that
I think so. I think the charad is on the oimek of just what happened over here. Is that I was like, it was like
Charada, so it's all good now.
okay.
I think that
It's
almost
not
doesn't-
pachad. It's we see it's weird because
Yitzchak's pachad,
Yitzchak's whole midah is pachad.
Okay.
This is charada. It's a whole new kind of hergish, similar but different than his midah of pachad
Charad is not
Yitzchak.
pachad?
What?
Charad is not
It's a
pachad.
separate word. Right? It's a different word, Saphir. But it conveniently doesn't say, like these words matter. I'll show you another word that matters. It's very cool. Is that the whole Yesod of Esav, right? We spoke about in the past that Yishmael is the Keshes and Esav is the Cherev. Al Char b'chatichya. So there's a subtle diak. When he tells Esav to go catch me some food, what does he say? Take kelyecha, your kelim, your tools, kashtecha, telyecha v'kashtecha. So what does that mean? His sword, what? So most Rishonim, if telyecha means a quiver, then it's not as much of a kasha. But most of Farshim say telyecha means your cherev and your keshes. So Esav's whole midah is his sword. So why is it changing the word cherev to telyecha over here? And why is a cherev called telyecha? It's a subtle question, but if you understand that Esav is a char b'chatichya, so then dafka, that's the word he changes. Doesn't want to call it a cherev. Because it's a step deeper. What does telyecha mean? How do you translate it? What's the translation of telyecha?
For Kalim?
What?
What you're reliant on?
The what?
Like Tully? What you're
Totally,
reliant
the thing that's hanging off of you. It's toilet. Toilet eretz hablima. So Yitzchak is saying, when you say go take your bow and that hanging thing. What is he saying? When you talk that, what is he saying? Where's Yitzchak coming from? Get into his head.
That's what defines it.
Why?
So done.
Why is it called this hanging thing? I think the way I'm feeling it is that's re'ei reach b'ni kareach. You want to smell him. It says, let me smell you. It's the image. He loves Esav's the Prince Charming, with the brass buttons and the white horse. The hanging thing means what? That what did he love? It wasn't the killing. What was it? The image. On Shabbos you're allowed to go out in a sword because it's a tachshit for a man. This is the makkah. It's telyecha. Yitzchak calls it telyecha. He's saying like, come in your uniform, not go
Looking all fresh.
I want to see the gibor, the man of the field, come in there like a marine. Like that, even in war today, the generals they will have swords, right? Why? Because the sword represents Zachris, represents the hero, the slayer of dragons. So that's so where we go from this. So this is, did I finish this whole main site? I'll just say one last thing for next week, so we're not tempted next week to repeat all this. So when he fights with the fight according to this with the Sarshal Esav is really what? It just represents the existential struggle of who is going to be the leader of the world. Yakov or Esav. So Yakov wins, but the Sarshal Esav does one damage to Yakov. He doesn't really win. He concedes to Yakov that, fine, Yakov, you're Torah, and you're also the world, your worldliness. But he dislocates his hip joint. What does that mean to you? And then Yaakov walks off, he limps off, and we don't eat the gid ha'anasha ad hayoym hazeh. What does it mean ad hayoym hazeh? Till when? As long as you're reading this, l'chaira. This is the blemish of the Jewish people ad hayoym hazeh. Al kain, therefore we don't eat the gid ha'anasha. Because Esav dislocated Yaakov's hip joint. What would that mean? So again, what are we talking about here? Esav was the shoe, Yaakov is the foot. Esav is the sales guy, the cool guy, the guy with the sword. Yaakov's the optimistic guy, right? So Yaakov takes over Esav's role. So now Yaakov's both. He has both wives, both names, the hands and the voice, everything. Yaakov is the whole package. The Sarshal Esav concedes. He gives him his name, and Yaakov says, "What's your name?" He goes, "Oh, what does it matter? Why are you asking my name? It's done." He took over. Who cares what am I going to do now? Don't worry about me. You didn't worry about me till now. Don't worry about me anymore. You know? But what does the hip joint represent according to this? So the hip joint is that it's a goynistic thing that Esav does, that the Sashal Esav does. He goes, fine, you know what? You can be the worldliness and you can be Torah. You know? You can be the man in the tent and the man in the field. What is the thing that bridges the tent and the field? The tent is you simply learning it. The feet are what brings you into the field. You could be the sada and you could be the oil, but you're never going to be able to be both at the same time. You can be in Wall Street and be billionaires, lose your yarmulke, and you can be in Koil and be a Talmud Chacham, and you're not going to be able to park a car. You can't be, and that's the limp. The dislocated hip joint is the limp of Yakov, meaning that Klal Yisrael has everything aleidik. The only last thing we have to fix is the ability to bridge, is to reconnect the hip joint. That is the limp of Klal Yisrael through the Dairis. All the successful, cool, polished guys lose all their kedusha and their holiness and their tamimis, and all the tamim can't handle in the world. The last step before the geula is this ability to not have that limp. That we should be able to live in the sada with the kedusha and the Torah of the Torah, and that's the hip, and that's the gid anosha. That's yeah. So what's
Okay, so
Yeah.
off-topic question about the whole.
don't stop yet because I'm going to stick
About the story,
more.
about the story of the brachas. Why do brachas have to come with food? Why couldn't Yakov just call in his kids and give them brachas? Why they have? What was the food a necessity?
Well, it's not just food. He wanted two things. He wanted matamen.
Wait, so why is that?
And he loves the
why is that
reyach
necessary?
hasada. That's the word.
Why is that
Yaakov didn't want. Yitzchak didn't want. He wanted. By the way, what's Yaakov's Yom Tov? Avram Yitzchak Yaakov is sukkahs. Yaakov built sukkahs. You know what the sukkah is? What's the sukkah? The sukkah is the oihel in the sada. That's the sukkah, right? The sukkah is there's so many mashalim for the same thing, but it's the ability to take that Torah of the Beis Medrash into the sada, to be able to be both, and that's what we're saying. That's what you're asking. That's the oil in the sada. He wants the re'ei b'ni. First of all, that's also very cool. Re'ei re'ach b'ni kareach hasada. What does that mean?
Looks.
No, re'ei. What is re'ei? You don't see smell. Re'ei re'ach b'ni kareach hasada. Look. The same thing as telyacha. It's the image. That's what he wants. Yitzchak's not about taiva. He doesn't want to smell him. He doesn't want to eat fancy meats. He wants to feel the gvura of Yitzchak, of Esav. Look at us. We have, in Vaxen they always call it the Great White Hope. So the great who was that? Who were they talking about? Google it. George Clooney? Not George Clooney. That's the actor. Who was the Great White Hope? Okay, whatever it was. But
It's the same.
Let's see,
Same
what's the
food
first?
is part of the same.
Wait, so how's the food time again?
no, so it wasn't about food so much. It was about matamim and the soda. He loved him ketzayin. Is that he's a hunter. It was tasting the meat of the field, meaning he's a hunter. He was tripping on the hunting. He wanted to smell re'ei re'ach b'ni. He wanted to smell the field. He wanted to bring matam. He called it his sword telyacha. What? I wouldn't have known that. But
What was the one after this? You want to finish over?
so what is this?
Say don't end the video.
No, so there's a lot of ways things to go. Okay, whatever. So Rachel and Leah, once you have this, you have to go through Rachel and Leah as a two sides. And then you have to. Okay, we'll do it next week. There's few things. Did we ever do the Kudim of Rudim? That's more my other Torah, my regular Torah, more like the psychology. There's more philosophy than psychology, but the psychology. But you have to do it because this is the bread and butter. From here, you can do the psychology. Now you can talk about, like, what is it? the heel. Talk about the heel. Like, what is that? What allows a person to be both? What is the avoid of being both? What's the...
So isn't Yitzchak next week Tuesday?
Right. Oh, you're not going to do Tuesday. Okay.
Maybe we should make sure